This is the NFLX 1-month overview reading for the month of August 2023. It's currently June 19th, 2023, 11:43 p.m. Eastern Time. Netflix, at the time of this reading in the extended hours, is $432.99. That's USD. And the shuffle file we're about to play was created on May 20th, 2023 at 11:39 p.m. Eastern Time. That's this file right here. So the overall theme and behavior for the month, we have the Prince of Swords, which is one of those cards that can be in either direction, but what it does indicate is a lot of price change, a lot of ground is covered price change wise, and often we'll see is increasing volatility or increasing kind of like price swinging as we move forward in time throughout the energy of the Prince of Swords. So that's probably what will take place based on how the cards played out with the highs and the lows, and that's a meta markup. I'd say that we're probably moving to the upside for the majority of the month. And it looks like we have our low early in the month with highs, possibly consecutively higher highs throughout the end of the month. I saw something similar in another reading that I did. I believe it was SPC followed a similar kind of pattern with consecutively higher highs here. Behavior around the highest high, we're going to have out of a decline, a big move from the bottom of a range all the way to the top of a range to reach the highest high, and then there'll be a significant opportunity on like a 1 month scale, at least like a multi-day kind of chart scale, significant opportunity at the low that'll stand out amongst other opportunities throughout the year. Before we go any further, let's take a look and see how we're doing for June thus far. We had a high here on the 2nd. Instead of a high, I think what we probably were picking up on was a peak here, which ended up being on the 1st. On the 5th, we have a trough. On the 6th, we have a peak in between, and then another trough on the 6th. Okay, so we're off by a day, but the pattern is pretty accurate there. We're just off by a day, and it's still possible to see a lowest low. Based on where the lowest low is thus far in the chart, it's still very possible that we see a lowest low here on the by the 21st of the month, or 21st to the 22nd, probably the 21st. Either that or it's just going to be a decline that'll stand out, but there really isn't much. There's not a lot in between where it is now and a drop that would take it to be the lowest low. So it is possible that takes place. Aside from that, there's some pretty solid things. Like here on the 7th, we have this wick on the candlestick where we rose higher, and that rally was an opportunity to open up a short position before a sharp decline to a trough there on the 7th. That's what we have there on the 7th. So that was pretty solid. And the trough continued into the morning the following day. It's not awful. It's just we got the location of the highest high off thus far. That's the only error thus far. We're not gonna get it every time, guys. It just doesn't work that way. So make sure to trade responsibly. Taking a look at the 1 year that we did for 2023, this is a pretty solid, pretty accurate reading. We have a high and a low in January, as indicated here. We go from prominent crest and trough here in January, and then we go from a prominent crest in February down to a lowest low here in early March. Looks like we just kind of missed that lowest low there. We have in late February, but early March is good. 2 weeks wiggle room, and it's right on the ball. And then we have another trough and another crest, both standing out there in March. Opportunity in April to open up a short position in the midst of an early rally, followed by a decline in late April. That's looking pretty solid. There's some sideways fluctuating decline early in May, followed by a highest high as we move towards the end of May. Highest high thus far, I should say, and then yet a higher one there in June. This is really solid. With that said, we should probably see either right on the cusp of June, July, we see a highest high, or we see an even higher price level in July. And so what we should really see from a trade standpoint in August is we're looking probably, it's mixed. There's nothing really that stands out like as too like important to miss, but there is a lowest low somewhere around like the cusp of August, September, so it would be important to be aware and be looking for that. It could come as early as the end of July. That would be a really sharp decline. I think it takes more time than just early July to get to the lowest low, but crazier things have happened. All right, so let's get into it. Here on the 1st of the month, we have out of oversold territory, significant move higher. It's either out of oversold territory at a lowest low for the month, or just a big move to fill a previous gap down, or maybe it's a gap up. But I think probably out of oversold territory, there's a significant move higher. A gap overnight to the downside, or a sharp drop early in the morning on the 2nd, followed by a prominent move higher standing out on a multi-day chart, and we successfully turned old resistance into new support on a multi-day kind of scale there on the 2nd. On the 3rd, we have a sideways fluctuating rally that precedes a decline, which really turns into price swings on the 4th. We have a gap down or we open at a trough on the 7th. A lot of price change there, sideways rotation, but a lot of opportunity there. Just before, on the 8th, we have, out of a trough, early in the day, we have a breakout on a multi-day kind of scale, and there's a trade opportunity there as well. On the 9th, we have a decline through multiple support levels. First through one support to meet a second support, and then we rotate sideways for a bit before breaking down through multiple supports. However, on the 10th, we have erratic behavior back and forth through the same price level. We revisit a crest there that was recently a past opportunity. We end the day on the 10th at an important price level that we poke through to the downside for a trough either there at the end of the day on the 10th or on the cusp of the 10th, 11th. On the 11th, we have a decline to and through support. We meet a second support that's on a multi-day kind of scale, and we rotate sideways along that support for a bit. Looks like a pretty significant gap up on the 14th with a decline off of a highest high, leading into a trough early in the day on the 15th, out of which there's a significant move higher, also offering a trade opportunity. We'll talk about that in more detail in the paid version. Gap down overnight to a trough early in the day on the 16th, and then we rally out of that pretty notably along a diagonal trend line, breaking through horizontal resistance and meet a second resistance before pulling back to somewhere between those two price levels. I also might have left out that we most likely have a highest high there on the 14th, so a highest high thus far most likely. We may see a higher price level on the 22nd, or in a higher one yet still on the 28th, or they may just be more of the same high, hard to determine. I think they're probably consecutively higher. 3 pokes through the same price level on the 17th, and a big move higher, really standing out on the 1-month chart there to the upside on the 18th. Gap up on the 21st, or a significant move higher early in the morning on the 21st to a high. Matter of fact, it's possible that highest high that I have marked on the 22nd, it's actually more likely to be here around the 21st, where we have this sideways rotational on key support. We rise prominently and then we rotate sideways at a higher support. That'll be like a rally along a diagonal that ends with a fast sudden move higher, and then a breakdown through that diagonal trend line. The following day, we have that breakdown, the diagonal trend line, the halting of a bullish trend marked by a sharp decline through key support there on the 23rd, a gap up on the 24th, or a rally early in the morning to a crest or peak that we sell off down to and through support. We do a U-shaped reversal, come back and reuse that support as support again, and then either a decline early in the morning on the 25th or a gap down on the 25th, and we do a sideways rotation where we rise to meet the nearest critical resistance and then fall back down and continue rotating sideways along key support. That's on a multi-day kind of scale, and it looks like we probably rally into the end of the day on the 28th, or we gap up on the 28th. It looks like we end the day on the 28th at a highest high again, with a sharp decline off of that highest high to a trough on the 29th. On the 30th, the prominent move higher followed by a retracement of that move back down, and then on the 31st, we have a failed attempt to break through key resistance followed by a decline through key support. It's on a multi-day kind of scale. Probably like this resistance that was formed around here, around this 28th peak, attempt to break through it on the 31st, but we failed to do so. And then in September, I think we have a higher price level yet still, followed by a notable decline to a low. Based on the 1-year cluster, looks like we have a peak and then another peak and then a sharp drop early in September to a lowest low. A lot of mixed behavior back and forth going on here, but we highs towards the end of the month for August. All right, guys, that's NFLX for the month August 2023. Let me know what you think by hitting that like button. As always, make sure to follow that rule of karma. It's super important, guys. You follow that rule of karma here at the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, where we ask that you donate 5% of the profits forward to one of these charities, 5% of the profits back to the channel here, and then that leaves you with 90% of the money left over. Make sure you spend that money out of love. As long as you follow those rules, that's the rule of karma for the channel. The universe will send it back to you tenfold through this channel, my friends. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned if you got the paid version. I'll see you guys on the next one.